friends, very warm welcome back to my channel. And this is going to be another video dedicated to interesting people all around the world that you might probably did not know existed. And today I'm telling you a story about, well, let's just watch this video.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
Two beers, all right? One for me, one for me mate.
Now that is a legendary movie and a legendary character. Yes, it's Crocodile Dundee. In 1986, the famous action comedy Crocodile Dundee was released, and the action took place in Australia. It gained a lot of attention, it became very famous. Afterwards, there were Crocodile Dundee's second movie, which took place in New York, and the third one took place in Los Angeles. The adventurous man called Crocodile Dundee actually was portrayed by an Australian actor, Paul Hogan, who got very famous because of that movie. Why am I saying this? Well, the answer is quite simple, because not so many people actually know that this action comedy is based on a real person. And this person is Latvian. His name was Arvids, and he was a legendary bushman, crocodile hunter, and a storyteller. So yeah, welcome to the story of the real Crocodile Dundee. I am sure that at this point you are thinking, where did this guy took his crocodiles if he's from Latvia? Well, I am here to answer all of your questions. Arvids, also known as Crocodile Harry, also known as Arvid van Blumenthal, was born in 1925 in a small parish in Latvia called Dundaga. He was born in a farmer and fisherman family, and for consistency, further in the video, I'm just going to call him Arvids. Setting off to Australia was quite a common thing for Latvians after the World War II, but for Arvids, this journey to Australia can be written with a capital J. Arvids was known to have a chameleon character, namely he got used to new environments very quickly, and I guess you have to have a strength of steel and abilities in order to change the location so rapidly. I mean, imagine Latvian climate and Australian climate, crazy. So it was 1951 when he actually moved to Down Under. He started off in North Queensland, and there in woods, as the legend says, started to hunt his first crocodiles. When Arvids Blumenthal came to Australia, of course, locals could not pronounce his name and surname, so they decided to call him Crocodile Harry. Arvids, wait for this, killed around 10,000 crocodiles within the time span of 13 years, not to mention even the smaller ones that he didn't count. And the most important thing is that he was doing it with bare hands.
Before I started to catch them, I was prospecting for uranium, and filed, didn't find uranium, went broke. So I stayed in the jungle, and I was ashamed to go back to civilization. Stayed in the jungle and started to catch crocodiles. From the beginning I didn't know how to handle them at all, but so gradually then worked it out.
In 1968, the crocodile hunt was officially prohibited in Australia, so Arvids had to think about how to live further, and this is when he moves to Copperpedy in order to start his career in opal mining.
Copperpedy lies in the outback of South Australia, around 850 kilometers north of Adelaide. Isolated and remote, it experiences freezing nights in winter and scorching days in summer, forcing its residents to live in caves dug out of the hillsides.
So Arvid started his life in a dugout, which is a typical thing for people living in that area. And the funny thing is that he managed to become famous even without crocodile hunting, just simply doing his opal mining thing and living in a dugout.
Known as the Crocodile Nest, the dugout of Arvids, a.k.a. his home, was constructed in an underground cave carved out of a hillside. It's situated 5 kilometers from the town's center, near the 4-mile Opel field.
Actually, Arvids was a creative person and he put all of his energy into his house, his dugout, and there are some different tribal graffitis, also sculptures made by him, and also other artworks. And you can also find ladies' underwear in his house. All of this underwear was hanging around in the house.
Yeah, this used to be my opal mine, and when I finished mining here, mined it out, then I decided to make a living quarters.
And all this stuff you've collected from women from all over the world.
Yeah, there's no nation missing.
And he said that in this house you can actually find around 1,000 underwear pieces from virgins that were visiting him in his house. Yes, he was also a womanizer. But among the underwear you can find there, and it was basically more or less from curvy ladies, you can also find some pieces from his wife. Yes, he was married. That being said, just wanted to mention that Arvids was also a very famous storyteller. Therefore, maybe some of his stories should be perceived with a pinch of his own fantasy. But the story is that Arvids met his wife through letters. If you think, it's almost like we're doing now, just dating through the internet. His wife's name was Marta and she was German. Some sources say that she was a singer, and the first time when she saw Arvids was on a newspaper and she decided to write him a letter.
Arvid was handsome, tanned, bearded, wearing only shorts. Fan mail poured in, 400 letters. He chose to reply to Marta, then married to a university professor in Germany.
And of course, she left him and moved to meet Arvids in real life. There's also a legend that she came to Australia with quite many pairs of shoes and also with some fur coats. Can you see the joke there? Because she is coming to Caberpedi in Australia, where it's hell of a hot weather. But long story short, they fell in love, they married, and they started to dedicate their lives to art. Namely, they were making a lot of sculptures and other artistic things. However, I should mention that in some sources I read that actually Marta did not stay with Arvids until the end of his life. She left Australia, and the last years Arvids was actually spending with another woman, and she was taking care about Arvids. Speaking about storytelling, Arvids actually had a lot of stories to tell, and one of them was that he was actually a Latvian baron, and everybody should call him Arvid van Blumenthal. I wasn't diving into this story a lot. And there are also other crazy legends, like, for example, how he celebrated summer solstice with local Aboriginal people according to Latvian traditions. Also a story about how he went to buy whiskey, and he did it by flying there to the shop with a helicopter, and also he said that he was growing roses in the trunk of his car. Now you understand how inventive he was.
Life is too short in order to start something serious, he wrote to his ex-neighbor in Dundaga, Latvia. Crazy courage, recklessness, and invincible storytelling talent resonated in him with a real old-school gentleman traits characteristic only to people from Kurzeme. Crocodile hunter, an apple miner, writer, and artist, an eternal lover, said his cousin.
During his life, he wrote several books, and there are quite a lot of documentaries dedicated to his person.
His clutter-filled residence was featured in the 1985 Australian post-apocalyptic action-adventure film Mad Max 3: Beyond Thunderdome, which starred Mel Gibson and Tina Turner.
Rumor has it that at one point there was even a Tina Turner's bra hanging in his house, but it was more like donated rather than acquired. Now his dugout is a very popular sightseeing place. It's a museum. This place was proposed for a heritage listing in 2007. However, I didn't find any sources that say that this offer was accepted. Harry died in 2006 at the age of 81 of a heart failure. He is buried in a Booth Hill graveyard, and his resting place is not as fancy like his dugout. It's a simple cross, and you can actually visit his resting in peace place. Latvians really love the story of Arvids, and they know it quite well, and there is a special statue that weighs around 2 tons put in the town where he was born, Dundee. It's a huge saltwater crocodile. It kind of shows that Crocodile Harry was actually born there. And actually, I have been on that place. I have seen the statue, and I have also some photos, but I couldn't find them. My grandmother was also born in the same town, Dundee, where Arvids was. So this place is actually also very close to me. Latvians will definitely proudly say that our Latvian guy, Arvids Blumenthals, was on the basis of the world-famous character of Crocodile Dundee. However, quite many sources also point out that Crocodile Dundee was actually inspired by another person.
Rod Ansell was a croc poacher who made global headlines in 1977, after surviving in remote Northern Territory bush with almost no supplies for 56 days. I will leave the link below so you can get more acquainted with the story.
Of course, I'm not saying that it's not true. You can speculate about that a lot, but the truth is that this legend in Latvia is alive, and we all believe that the real Crocodile Dundee is Arvids Blumenthals, just a simple guy from a small town in Latvia who managed to live a very colorful and interesting life. I hope you enjoyed today's story. I hope you found it very inspirational and interesting. I have always loved stories like this about people that are not afraid to take risks, that are not afraid to express themselves, that are not afraid to move to another countries and start everything from scratch. So I hope the story of Arvids Blumenthals will also help you as an inspiration to be brave and to go out there and live your lives to the fullest. That being said, thank you for watching. Please make sure you write down in comments how did you like this story, what are your opinions about if Arvids Blumenthals is actually Crocodile Dundee, and also, as usual, make sure you have subscribed to the channel, press the notification bell, and see you next time!